So am I like the only woman that no longer gets approached by men? No, because I had to actually sit and think about this and I had to ask myself, when is the last time a man came up to me and wanted to get to know me or exchange numbers? And it's been a long time.
Okay, this is very interesting. What she's saying already before we're even deep into the video, what she's saying and what she's noticed is becoming more of a trend. And it's largely a result of a changing cultural landscape. I've talked about this previously, where in this consistent fight for feminism that's happened over decades, change doesn't happen overnight, but when you've been fighting for something for years upon years, decades upon decades, eventually you're going to see a cultural shift. And under patriarchy, there were certain expectations, there were certain roles, there were certain things that men and just women did, right? Well, at least those who were considered men and women, because we know black people weren't even considered human for the first couple of hundred years, but that's besides the point. My point, my bigger point is there was a certain expectation for those who were male, for those who were female, that was pretty much clearly defined under the system of white patriarchy. Now, since there's been a consistent effort to undermine that, and there's been a consistent effort to dismantle that, while the effects of that haven't been immediate, we certainly see things change over time. And in a system where you're seeing women are fighting for equality. They fought for equality at jobs. They fought for equal pay, equal opportunity with respect to work, with respect to being represented in certain industries, them being able to open their own bank account, them being able to have their own credit cards, them being able to open their own businesses, them being able to purchase their own homes. Put it simply, how can you want progressive laws, progressive rules, and progressive standards and everything else but relationships? Can we really expect there to be a progressive, equal society and it to impact every single other area of life? But then when it comes to the romantic realm, we go right back to the patriarchal norms, where the man pursues, where he pays for everything, where he gets down on his knee, where he plans the engagement, he pays all the bills. Is that really reasonable? And so I think in this push for, equality and feminism and all kind of different stuff, folks didn't even really consider this part. But we're now too far down the road, and now we're having to figure this out. Now society is having to figure out, how does a relationship now manage in this deconstructed white patriarchy or feminist society, however, whatever term you want to use. How do men and women interact in that? And so that's what we're starting to see. Let's continue.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely has me questioning myself. Like, am I not as attractive as I thought I am? Am I looking old? Am I intimidating? Like, what is it? So now I'm starting to realize that since men don't come up to me, I have to be the one to go up to them.
Okay, real quick, I can appreciate someone at least being introspective and being like, why isn't this happening? Like, I didn't hear her go up and like start cussing men out and being like, they're just weak, they're just this is that, they got mommy issues, they're just whatever. Like, at least she started to be introspective and be like, is it me? Is it my energy? Is it just the way I'm presenting myself? So I can at least appreciate somebody who's willing to be introspective and ask why before they start trying to blame everybody else. Okay, let's continue.
And that makes me super nervous because it's like, how do I know I'm not going to get rejected if you didn't come up to me in the first place and then I make the decision to go up to you? How do I know I won't face rejection? So can I?
So, and that's the thing about it. You don't know. If you really talk to men, I mean, they tell you it's like, you just, it never feels fun, but I think it's just expected. And I think because men I think emotionally, they're not really coddled as much as women are. They take the position of, well, you just got to deal with it. You just got to man up. You just suck it up. That's just what men do. But how does this not work in a society when men and women are legally treated equal, but we're clearly not? I'm sorry, we're not. Men and women are not equal. We are not the same. Biologically, we are not the same. Like, every single month, women are reminded they are not men, period. This is why I'm just like, honestly, I kind of get annoyed to a certain extent when there's been such a push for us to try to be what we're not. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you having jobs. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like women working. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I feel like at a certain point it just gets weird. And this is exactly why, because now things just become weird, then things become weird. Like relationship dynamics get all screwed up. You got men who just start chilling and just like, okay, whatever. They don't even want to try anymore because it's like, well, you want to be a man, fine. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and so really what she's explaining right now, I think is more the result. It's a result of a shifting culture, one that didn't happen overnight, but one that slowly but surely pushed more towards secularism, pushed more towards individualism, pushed more towards a non-traditionalist approach. And this is now what we're experiencing. What does it truly mean when women are treated equal all across the board? And is that really what we wanted? Is that really what we wanted? And I think now that ladies are now in a relationship system where they're actually being treated equal, and they themselves are now maybe having to find themselves in positions that traditionally men were, it really does open up this whole conversation of, was it worth it? Was it really worth it? And was it ever really true? Let's continue.
I get some tips and tricks, some advice on how to approach a man that I think is cute, because I have no idea how to. Like, I'm scared and I feel like I can only approach men if I'm drunk, which is not often.
Now, full disclosure, I've been married for some time now, right? But I can say that, at least for me, when I was single and I was out in the dating market, was how not even my appearance as much as my disposition made a really, really, really big difference. And a common complaint that I've seen from Black men, at least, who are interested in Black women, is how unapproachable they believe Black women can be, and how some of us, without us even knowing it, can like default to this resting bee face, right? We can default to this serious, kind of mad, like I'm not interested, aloof personality. And some of us don't even know that we're doing it. And I'm saying this as somebody, I had the same issue. Like I would have that mindset, or I would have that disposition around guys that I was attracted to, and I didn't even know. It was almost like playing hard to get. And so I don't know if this is her situation, but this is a common complaint that I have heard about Black men specifically. So my first thought would be, like, there's something about this making yourself approachable, not even like trying to be extra with the clothing or be extra, like, but just having like a pleasant disposition on your face can make a really big difference. It can be a subtle smile. It can just be like, engaging, being like just approachable, like, because a lot of men right now are at the point to where it seems like there's more risks associated with approaching a woman than there are reward. There's a risk of being Me Too'd. There's a risk of being cussed out. There's a risk of a woman, embarrassing you on social media now with the advent of social media. Like, there's so much risks with a man approaching a woman. Like, if she gives the air that she's not even interested, that she's not approachable, that she's not even like that girl, then most of them will just walk by. They're just like, it's just not even worth it. And then now with, like, you got shows like Pop the Balloon and all these other dating shows that are showing these unrealistic standards that a lot of ladies have, like, some guys are just completely and totally just uninterested. They're just like, I don't even want to put in the effort to put myself on the line to potentially be rejected by somebody who's just a gold digger, or to put myself on the line to potentially be rejected from somebody who just is hard to deal with, has a bad attitude, is just crazy, has no relationship skills, whatever, right? Like, this is what a lot of men are thinking. And so there's something I think about just being approachable that can really make a big difference. And again, a lot of this stuff, it's not even necessarily the outside appearance as much that helps, obviously, but I think there's something about those soft skills that are unspoken that can really make a big difference. And like I said, I can say for me, that was one thing that made a huge difference. It sounds silly, but like, I didn't really change my appearance much. I didn't change my clothes. I didn't change really anything about me. But I noticed when I got called out by a friend who was just like, why do you always look like unapproachable and look very like uninterested wherever you go? And I had to really ask myself, if I'm a single woman and I want to be in a relationship, then why do I always come off closed? And I even had some ex-boyfriends who told me, were just like, yeah, you seem like very close. Like, I didn't even really know if you were interested in me at first. Like, for real. So this was, I'm just sharing my own journey with you, because I'm not saying this is everybody, but I'm sure somebody can resonate with that. So that's just like a real practical thing. Real practical thing. Um, Now this, I wanted to see, there's a few comments I thought were kind of funny. Like this one, it says, I only get approached when I'm looking homeless. My homeboy said it's because I look more affordable. That's another one too. These standards are ridiculous. And yeah, I can notice, I would be surprised sometimes when I feel like I was in sweats. Like my husband, I met my husband in sweats. Like I literally had a sloppy bun on. Like, yeah, I had like a sloppy bun, was in a hoodie, because I was at some event. I didn't expect anybody to show up. I was like at a family friend's house. Like it's just, I wasn't expecting anybody to be there. And so, yeah, he saw me at like what I perceived my worst. But also one of the things that I've heard from men, it's like they want to actually know what they're getting themselves into. They're not interested in like falling in love with a fake face, a fake body, fake lashes, whatever. Like they want to actually know the person that they're going to be waking up to at night potentially, right? And so that's why it's so much more important for them. And they will go with you if you're dressed down, because they know what they're getting. They know you're a natural, organically born women. That's a whole other thing too, right? Because nowadays it's not always, there's sometimes can be debatable, like is this a naturally born woman or not, right? Like there's also that concern. So I thought that was funny when I seen that comment. I'm like, y'all are crazy. It says, Prella, protect your wallet. First conversation, they hungry or a bill due. Stop. It says, there's men who approach me, but it's typically not the kind of men I want. They just stare at you. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I know it's real out there, but I think it's important for ladies to understand. It's important for ladies to understand exactly what's going on, like, and to understand why we are where we're at today. And then secondly, because if you understand those barriers, then you might be better suited to position yourself. If you know that men are scared or men are less motivated to approach women because of some of the different barriers that I mentioned, then there's nothing wrong with being approachable. There's nothing wrong with being friendly. If you're a person that wants to make the first move, that was never me. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I was never the one to make the first move, but I know women who have, and they're okay with it. They're happy with it. So most people in general don't want to turn down a genuine person that they're attracted to. Now, if there's no attraction, it is what it is. But if you're a genuine person and you approach them and they're attracted to you, most people aren't going to turn that down. These are all different things to take care of. And the last thing I wanted to say, but I believe is the most important. Yes, having all these dating advice is good. Yes, preparing yourself. Yes, understanding the pitfalls and the strengths. All that is good. But first and foremost, invite God into your dating and relationship discourse. Seriously. Because what I have found in what my relationship is, and when I invite him into every area of my life, I truly get guidance. And you may be thinking that you're missing it on one way. You may be thinking that you're missing it on a particular way, but you find out it's something else you need to work on that you didn't even consider. But that's the great thing about having God or having a higher power or a higher source involved in the details of your life, because he can give you insight into things you didn't even consider. And let me tell you, as someone who's married, like you don't want to do this without the power and without the guidance of God, because he knows everything about you. He created you. And if you're a person that's on destiny, you're a person that's on a particular track, you want to be yoked with somebody who can walk with you down that track, who can walk with you down that destiny. And this is where I think it's really good to not to just be so, well, he's tall, he's this, and that. Yeah, there's a point to that, but it's better to be looking for someone who is connected to your purpose. That's such a higher prayer. That's such a higher metric. And that's something that you need God's guidance in. And so that's my biggest encouragement to any woman out there who's trying to figure out how to navigate. Of course, prepare yourself, do your part, right? Ask the right questions, do the things you need to do to prepare yourself, but ultimately invite God into this and ask him and lead you and guide you to the right place, to the right person in the right timing. Sometimes it's just a timing thing. Sometimes you're just simply not totally ready, or sometimes there's certain things that need to be worked out in you or that person before it's time for you guys to meet. Sometimes it's you think that you need to go on a diet and you need therapy. Sometimes you think it's therapy and you need to go on a diet. Sometimes it's not a diet or therapy. Sometimes it's just changing your natural hair. Sometimes it could be personality issues. Like who God knows, but that's the great thing about being open to divine guidance. When we are open to that, we can actually receive those messages and be pointed to the right direction of the things that we ultimately need. So I think that's the most important thing from everything, because when you invite God into the process, not only are you connected to the purpose, not only are you now connected to the person that's connected to your purpose, then now when you get into that relationship, and then when you're in marriage, it's so much greater than like, oh, well, he gets my nerves or not. It's like, this person is connected to my purpose. You're going to be a lot more motivated to fight for that relationship and do what you have to do to maintain it. And so I think that's the most important thing than anything else. Those are all minuscule things, but invite God into it and let him guide you into what that is. So anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Also, be sure to check me out on my other podcast, The Sacred Life, where I talk about my personal relationship with God and what it means to just walk with Christ every single day. Check me out there and let me know what you think. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.